Hello, it's Helen Godden here and welcome back. We're about to do block 3 of Flower Power 2 and this one you can see is based on a magnolia, a beautiful flower. It's all about the cup shape, and so I'm going to be doing stitching to try and get that real cup shape of the magnolia flower there. I am going to put straight line stitching in the background, and as per usual I have obviously traced my design on with my Sharpie and then put the batting in behind, and I have done all the outline ditch stitching, although I can see I missed a bit there. That's okay, we'll get there very soon. So needle down, needle up. This is what you should do always when sewing on any kind of project, and bring that bottom thread up. Okay, now you've got both threads under control, so you're not going to get a thread nest. Phew, okay, that bit's done. As per usual, my plan is to creep up on the things I'm not certain on. Now, I've got an idea for the background, so I'm going to start with that and then gradually work on the other areas. So I always say to start with what you know. So in this one, I'm going to do a series of vertical, slightly curved lines that I'll then be adding little peas into, like a pea pod. So a very nice gentle curve. I'm going to repeat it. And now do the opposite curve. Now this is where you could use your panda pencil. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. I want these to just undulate in and out. And double it up. Okay, move along. Same again with your panda pencil. You might want to just give yourself a little hint. Okay, see how I use that ditch to get around that space? So then inside those, we're going to do what I call stack of rocks. And it kind of makes like a pea in a pod kind of shape. So we're going to come down in here doing a horizontal stipple. Okay, so I've kept all those lines through there very parallel to each other, and the stipple has gone out to the shape I created. When I got to the edge, I've gone along that ditch and then come back up and closed off that shape, travelling back through that horizontal section. Right out to the edge. Okay, I'm going to leave that one blank. Try and keep that middle section horizontal, not coming down at an angle, keeping it horizontal. And then just double check which ones to stitch into, because I was just about to stitch into here and that would have been wrong. Okay, so that's got to be blank, this one's got to be stitched into, blank, stitched into. You can see how here I've even done only half a pea pod or a stack of rocks to imply that it keeps going. See how that's a straight edge there rather than it curving. So that's always how I like to extend that pattern and make it look like it goes beyond the border. This is creating a really good wallpaper design. This idea of being a continuous pattern behind something else, because wallpaper is always on the wall behind, you know, other objects that we sit in front, a chair, a television, a bed or whatever. So this is this idea of wallpaper and pushing it back. Now already my mind's wondering if I want to fill these in with perhaps horizontal, but I'm going to wait and see how the rest of the quilting comes up. So from here I'm going to have to escape over to here and finish over this side. And then I'm going to check again, this is filled, empty, filled, empty, filled, empty, filled. So you can see how my little panda pencil, of course it was much longer, but I've used it right down to the end. You can see how that can just really help you with your planning and your placement and direction, not necessarily drawing the whole design on there. That will completely iron away. Now I can sharpen this by unraveling more of the pink, and I can also sharpen just the point if I was really wanting to get a definite fine line. So they're my panda pencils and they're available on my website. And yes, I won't send you a stump, I'll send you the full thing. Now I'm definitely going to do the horizontal lines through the centre here, through the centre triangle. So I am going to rotate the job just so that the whole thing is facing me, and I find that easier way to work. And I'm going to give myself some guidelines. So I've got that machine going fairly fast, and that is actually the secret to getting straighter freehand lines. Just like riding a push bike, if you go very slow on that push bike, you're going to wobble all over the place. If you ride the push bike faster, the wheels will just want to make you go in a straight line. Same here, it just is an easier way to flow and get a straight line by having your hands going fairly fast, which means you want the machine going fairly fast. So you can see how I just keep using that ditch to travel, and I'm going to do the same thing here because I want to get into that other area. So travel along through that ditch and find my straight lines again. Terrific. Now I can see that's the only little patch just there that I've missed, but I'm liking how that's looking. See how it's really pushing back that triangle and bringing our magnolia forward. I'm really happy with that. There's a little circular shape there at the base of the magnolia where the bud has come from. I think I'm going to emphasize that little section. And I think by adding that really fine detail there, it's going to allow me to leave that petal plain. There's a nice balance there between detail and plain. This one in here is definitely behind in that little cup arrangement. So I'm going to come in here with some more of those parallel lines that flow with the shape of that petal. And what it's basically doing is adding some grey. Right now it looks like you've got white, but this is a bit more grey, so it's got a bit of shadow, so it's, you know, pushing back and giving us more depth. You can see that's fairly deliberate, that I will come up to a point and then as I come back let those two lines open up that little bit. I think I'm going to do the same thing just over here. And you can see I had that shape just curve that little bit into the bottom of that petal. I think I've done enough there. Any more and you're going to lose it. I think I'll leave the stem plain, but I can't help myself. I have to do something with those leaves, just have to. And you can see I've let it go close, wide. So wide on the bumps that go in. So not just parallel, it's undulating. I'm liking that. I'm now going to zap up. I do a lot of zapping. But first, a word from our sponsors. These are snazzy scissors. Look at that. Beautifully designed for snipping your threads because they have that little bent tip. And check out those colours. So they're my snazzy scissors and they're on my website. Thank you, sponsors. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do bubbles, which is quite a different technique to our stack of rocks. Where here we only wanted effectively one bubble stacked up on top of each other. So that's one technique. Over here where we want those bubbles to fill the whole area, there's a different technique that we use. So if I come in here, there's not much room, so I'm just going to do a few bubbles until I've got some room. Now you can see I've done a few half bubbles. It's always a great idea, rather than having big ones that just get so damn small in that pointy area that it's just a massive black thread. Just let there be halves. And again, it's going to look like we've got a piece of fabric that we've pieced into here that's had bubbles all over it. I would like to do just an extra demonstration for you here of bubbles. So when you do a bubble or a circle, we know that a circle basically starts at a point, let's call it A, and finishes back at A. If we then start another bubble, it starts at A and finishes back at A. It starts at A and finishes at A. We never actually move from that point. So to make bubbles move and grow and develop across our quilted area, we need to over-complete the bubbles. So I'll do a little demo here. Okay, bring up that bottom thread. It's such a good practice. Okay, there's a complete circle. Now, continue on that circle for about, let's say, 1.5 times, so that you've done the circle 1.5 times, just approximately. By travelling back on that bubble, you're now about to launch off to a new bubble, starting from a different position. Again, don't just finish it there, do another half a bubble. And at first, you're not going to be very accurate at all with your bubble shapes and stitching back on top of yourself, but that's all part of the practice. If I know you're doing this in the correct way, then you just have to get on and practice until you get that level of visual perfection that you're hoping for. Okay, it's more about creating these bubbles in the right way. So in this manner, I could decide to stitch all the way around this bubble to get back to here, because I'm very concerned about that empty space I'm leaving. You end up doubling up your path, which all that does is give you more emphasis of bubble, okay? I want to show you what you want to avoid. This idea of only just completing the bubble results with a stick of berries, okay? So you can see in that example, I completed that bubble, but then straight away moved along to my next bubble. Often what a beginner will do, this is classic, they'll come back down, and repeat that process, which all it's done is make it a stick with more berries. That's not how we do it. So if you keep in mind this idea of over completing the bubble so that you are now at a different point to launch into your next bubble. It's a bit like you're on a roundabout and you've missed your turn off, so you keep going on your roundabout until you slide off that turn off again. Okay, so I go around roundabouts that way. The rest of the world goes around that way, but you know what I mean. So practice your bubbles perhaps in your doodle diary and then take it to your block. Thanks. Hope that helps with your bubbles. Bye. And there we go. That's our magnolia. Let's have a closer look. So there we go. I'm quite happy with that. I like the contrast between the horizontal. These are quite an elegant feminine shape like a magnolia. I like how simplified that is, but there is some real fine details to take your eye in. I like that one. Magnolia, block 3. I'll see you all in a couple of days. Hope you're going well with your Flower Power Quilt-a-long. See you very soon. Bye.